Happy days. Okay, welcome everyone everywhere to the Elite Thinking Club. And I'd like to say hello from my guests, Mads, Michael, and Liz. You guys all right?
Very good. How are you?
Happy days. Yeah, I'm good. Not too bad at all. Been a great week, even though the weather's been mad, up, down, left, right. You know what it's like in the UK.
Oh, crazy.
So
Oh,
tonight,
yeah, I got sacked this week.
Topic of discussion is defund the police. Is it a good thing? And communication between generations. Why is it so difficult? But before we talk about that, okay, I just got to say, when we speak here at the Elite Thinking Club, you cannot change anything unless you're willing to understand it. And you cannot understand it unless you're willing to explore it. A good debate doesn't get ugly. We may talk of things that make people feel vulnerable. Beliefs held sacred may be challenged because of life experiences. We're not trying to make people wrong or to incite riot, but simply explore. So welcome to the Elite Thinking Club. Okay, so the reason why we've spoke or chose the first question of tonight's episode, which is defund the police, is it a good thing, is because our host Mads, life has presented this to her. And so Mads, I'd love for you to lead in and tell us what you know. Why is this so important?
I'm not an expert, let's be real. But I well, it was a while ago and I was going to see a social worker at like a centre in Southend, and there was a girl outside and she was just absolutely like having a meltdown, and I could hear her on the phone to her mum, and without eavesdropping, which I mean I guess I was, but she was explaining how like she'd lost 3 weeks to alcohol and she'd been drinking all this booze and blah blah blah, she couldn't even work. Anyway, so when I went in and spoke to the support worker, I was like, can you please help her? Like, I feel terrible for this girl that's obviously suffering and going through this. Please help her. And she's like, well, we're trying, but we don't have the resources. We don't have enough support workers. We don't have enough mental health workers or, drug addiction or... Anyway, so they just didn't have the resources to help the people in general. And that's when she said to me, there's a big movement at the moment which a lot of people are fighting for, and it is called Defund the Police. And so essentially it's taking money out of the police, which if you actually look into, I think the policing takes 3 or 4 times the budgets that they give to like other community services like health, mental health services, support workers, all that kind of stuff. And take it out of the police and put it into those categories instead and see what happens. And essentially, apparently people who have researched it have proven that there would be less crimes, there would be less need for the police, there would be less arrests, less court cases, just fewer criminal activity, because there would be other services in place for people to go to. So if someone's suffering, with drug addiction of any form, they might turn to like shoplifting or dealing drugs themselves, which is all, criminal activity that needs to be addressed by the police. And if they had more services or access to services before getting to that point, if it was available, would we need as much policing?
Okay, very interesting. I mean, yeah, hearing what you're saying there, Mads, it's kind of like prevention's better than cure. Like if we fix it from the root, we wouldn't need to react for... Am I following you right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So it's fixing the problem before we need the police.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess they've looked into why people commit crimes. Obviously, there's a variety. They're not going to stop all of them, but certain crimes that could be caused by mental health, substance abuse, things like that, if people were able to access the help and the support that they needed before they got to domestic violence or shoplifting or drug dealing or prostitution, anything, anything illegal, then would we need as much funding into the police? And it's a real controversial subject, obviously, but you know, if you do a little bit of research, I think in America, Black Lives Matter brought it to the forefront a little bit, and they did do an experiment in a couple of states where they took money out of the police, and instead of sending to certain situations, instead of, you know, someone that's suffering with mental health or substance abuse, instead of sending in the police and them tackling these people to the ground, they're sending in mental health professionals who can speak to them instead and get to the core and have more compassion and empathy instead of the police just going in and like, do you know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the money was spread to the community, wasn't it? More of a community project. My thoughts on it are, I think that on a whole, we're always going to need law and order. We're always going to need, you know, to create the civil society, we're going to need the police. However, I do think that the prevention is better than cure philosophy is spot on, and I do believe that the resources are not given to community projects and community workers, people like support workers, social workers, carers, whether it be mental health, drug addiction. You know, there's so many organisations, and a lot of those organisations where those workers are actually at are charity based because they don't get the funding, you know, like the police do, which is a, you know, a government organisation. So it's I do believe we need the police and we do need law and order, because we're always, like you say, it's not going to cover, you know, if we defund all of the police forces completely, then, you know, we are still going to need them. There are times in our lives when we are going to need to call them. I don't think it's going to eradicate completely all crime, you know, by putting all of the funds into and the resources that the police get into the community. I do think more should be spread to those. 100%, I agree with that. But I do also believe that we still will need the police.
so it's
know,
kind of like
for some things like serial killers not being funny, you know, we need the police to catch them, because that's not a resource issue, that's more of a psychological issue, you know. So
Definitely. So it's, I think, within reason.
So in what you said there, Liz, sorry, I was going to say that.
Than,
go on, Mads, go on.
Police are paid a hell of a lot more than like a social worker, especially detectives and stuff like that. Like a full-on investigation, I think, costs the police. I mean, if it goes to court, we're talking like tens of thousands, you know.
Okay, and you think that money could be used to help prevent the need to go to court? So if they, instead of like taking someone to court for all that money, we could have used that money to invest into resources that ultimately prevent people from doing the crimes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
In what you said there, Liz, about oh god, it's just left my mind. Let me get it. Let me I'll find it. I will get it. Yeah, about charity based help. I heard a saying once, and it was, where charities exist, it's where our governments fail. So I'm in agreement with what you're saying. I mean, it's quite a powerful, you know, notion to say that, why is there a charity for this? Surely there should be government funding for this. Oh, so yeah, defund the police. Is it a good thing? Now, Michael, I know that you have a perspective on this, and I'd, you know, share it. It's great. I think that it's very, very important to hear this. So yeah, Michael, go for it.
Right, so I'm going to start off with a disclaimer first, because I got quite out there views in it. But I need to do a disclaimer first, so people know where I'm coming from. I was born into quite a shit family. My dad was good, but my mum was a drug. She was a heroin addict, and all her friends were heroin addicts. So I grew up with that. I watched my mum OD twice. I watched her friends around her OD around me. And that was like 7 years old. So I've seen that side of it, but I also saw at 7 years old that they were given help. The government was helping. They got methadone, they went to counselling, they got nearly everything given to them, and they just didn't take it because they were down on a spiral. So at that point in time, and this is where I say I just need a disclaimer, they might as well just die. It's pointless them being around because all that happens is they upset people, and they just, like my mum lost us because she was doing drugs. That is why.
It's like that saying, isn't it? Like if they don't want the help, if the help's there, but if they don't, they'd have to want the help themselves.
That's what someone said.
We actually have a comment. Yeah, from Shana. She said that, but people need to want the help, don't they? And often they come onto the police's radar before they get that help. The police are able to refer them to other areas of expertise. So what happens when there aren't enough police, as there aren't already, to help them and put them forward for the help? It's a valid point.
Yeah, I agree with that. So going from that, so I watched my mum ultimately die from heroin because she was with other people that did heroin, but she was given a hand. And now there's other people, like say Robert Downey Jr., who was a druggie back in the day, but he was given a hand and he took it. And now he's one of the nicest guys you would ever see.
Yeah.
So if people don't want a hand, then it's kind of, you're wasting money. What's that old saying? Flogging a dead horse or something.
But there should, underlying though, I think there should be that resource of help or that hand out there for all, should any of us encounter that sort of mental health issue or drug issue or drink issue. And yes, it fundamentally does come down to us wanting to take that, to use that resource and take that help. But I think it should be there, because I've had to deal with people that have had mental health issues and, you know, drug problems, you know, through my volunteer work for an organisation which is set up because of the lack of resources within the community. And, you know, you do come across people who do want the help and who don't, but a lot of them didn't know the help was there. A lot of them weren't aware of certain organisations. A lot of them weren't aware that there were programmes that they could be part of, or training they could get, or safeguarding, you know, things that could help them get out of certain situations. So I think a lot of it is combined, isn't it? It's choice, it's wanting to, it's resources, it's
I would love to
awareness.
I'd love to hear from a police officer. If there's any like watching the show right now that are, you know, associated with the police or work with the police or are a police officer, let us know what you think about that. Like, you know, do you have enough resources to do your job? Because there was a drug bust, Mads. I think you mentioned to me though about a drug bust, something like what, there was drugs found in frozen chickens or something. What was that one?
No, that was Meg that's mentioned that. There was it was a
is it Harlow?
No, Haringey. It was a ferry port.
Harwich.
Charities. Yeah, it was a guy. Ferry port or lorry? I can't remember now. I don't know. Anyway, 20,000. No, was it 20,000? No, it was a lot more than that, wasn't it? 220
million, wasn't it?
It should have been millions, not 20,000.
No, I'm wrong.
Facebook comment, by the way.
It was a millions worth of drugs found in of cocaine found in frozen chickens.
Right. So,
wow.
You know, I would like to hear from police officers what they think about what's going on in regards to funding, because we need, like Liz said, we do need people to have our backs in situations. Otherwise, it'd just be pure chaos. It'd just be dog eat dog. There'd be no justice system. It'd be mental. But then at the same time, we have got a whole fleet of people addicted to drugs. So are the police doing a good enough job, you know, tracking down these people that are supplying the drugs, and ultimately supply and demand? There are people that want it and don't want the help. It's such a such a catch-22. Michael, what you saying? Someone's
someone's just commented. So from now on,
Yeah.
when I see a comment, I'm going to put my hand up so then people can.
You ain't got to do that, mate. We're not answering every single comment. We'll do it as it flows, brother. We'll do it as
Ben has said it's hard to want the help when you're in that situation of addiction, as you can't see any issues with what you're doing as you're in that social bubble.
Yeah, that's so true. Because
so it's probably relatable to what you said about your mum, Michael.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I want to ask a question, like, not that I know any personally, but has anyone been robbed by druggies? Like, and I don't want to call them druggies, but has anyone been actually robbed by people that are on drugs? Like,
yeah, my house.
I've had when I was working years ago in London, twice I had 2 young guys who were high as a kite, tried to rob my bag off of me. So yeah.
Okay. So defunding the police.
But thankfully, thanks to people passers-by who helped, one guy with an umbrella who was whacking the guy with the umbrella, and the community police officers in the tube station, they actually were able to stop
Right.
them.
So is the problem, let's get to the root of the problem. Is the problem, like, for, let's say, a user, if there was no more supply, they'd have to what would they do? Would they just like stop taking drugs?
They'd have to go cold turkey, wouldn't they? Or they'd probably find an alternative. It's not as much of a high, maybe a hit.
Is it so much defund the police to fund for services to help people that are addicts, or shall we actually put more money into the police so we can, you know, track down the people that are providing the drugs that are causing the problem? What is the best?
I think though,
they
no. We had, I think we touched on this the other week as well. Like, it starts at the top, doesn't it? You know, the famous Pablo Escobar was involved with the CIA and the FBI. So
I was going to say, because there's a lot of people making money from drugs. Like, it's not like a poor industry. It's like quite a booming industry. It's obviously just illegal because of reasons like it goes against people like you and I who are hardworking citizens, and we're getting robbed because there are addicts out there. So we have to make this illegal because we don't want to be living in a world where this is a good thing. Like, it's not a good thing. It's causing terrible upbringings for people. For example, Michael, and you know, we're getting robbed. But why would you?
I also think it's a societal thing as well, isn't it? Is like, you know, different classes, you know, of people, where you've got the poor, the rich, you know, and it predominantly affects a certain, although don't get me wrong, there's a lot of rich people that are involved in drugs. There's a lot of poor people that are involved in drugs, but it's more enticing for the poorer person with regards to the sort of dealing and that sort of thing. But I think it's also, you know, we do need to be better aware and educated and stuff on it all, really. And I think that starts at home. But like Michael, he was at home with his mum, but obviously he didn't have that. He had the other side of the education of it, where it was.
So Mads, let's just strip it right back. Like, defund the police. You were broken-hearted that, you know, a girl you saw, was it?
Yeah.
Going through some hard times, and you just thought if she just got the help, we could save her life.
Saying like, no one's helping me. And I was like, can someone please help her? I just felt really like.
Right. So let's get it right then. As a tax-paying citizen, and that, is it my job to help her? Is it my responsibility in my life to help her? Am I put on this planet to fix her problem?
Well, no.
Now, this is what I'm saying, right? If you're running a country and people pay tax for services, I'm all for paying it for police officers to try and get to the root of the problem. You know what I mean? Shut down the flipping supply, right? However, if you're an individual who needs to take responsibility for your life, you need to do that. Then this is why
100%.
This is why charities exist, because charities are made by people who are willing to give up their time, give up their resources, raise money to try and help people. So are we kind of now in a state of mind understanding that we can't defund the thing that I'm willing to fund? However, that individual who you saw, she's saying no one's helping me. I ain't being funny, using Michael's mum as a reference. Are you helping yourself? The resources are there.
She can't help herself.
We've got a comment from an actual police officer. She says, in my opinion, as a police officer, we are massively underfunded and currently working with one of our colleagues on my department and have so much work. We struggle day after day reacting to crime rather than being proactive to it.
Yeah, someone said that to me the other day. Actually, I was talking to a police officer on a dating app. But anyway, he was saying how I mentioned the defund the police to him and movement, and he was like, people have no idea. Like, apparently with all the protests and everything that's been going on in London recently regarding like Palestine and Israel, they've been taking people from their response teams and putting them into central London, like from the Met, and leaving like a couple of officers to deal with like local crime, and they are so overrun, having to work overtime, but then they don't want to pay them that overtime because it's not within the budget.
So defunding the police, he ultimately is making these people who are people, like, let's not forget, they are people trying to do the right thing, but just being completely underfunded. Like, you know, there's it's difficult.
Can I just say, I actually work for, I volunteer for an organisation that is a charity, and I have to go and attend the police investigation centre, and I speak to a lot of police officers, and I have to say, you know, they are of the same opinion of that, and they massively feel underfunded and feel that they actually don't have the resources, and they feel like they're at the bottom of the pile. They feel, you know, it's not, obviously they're not in charge of the pot, it's obviously the government and the people, the powers that be, and they find it really frustrating. They find it really frustrating because they see things and they have to deal with things, and they want a better outcome for certain situations and people that they deal with, but they know it's not going to happen for those people because they can't do any more, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I think that what you have to do.
So I kind of see it from both sides.
What we're going to have to do is rally up about 30 druggies, and tell them to go and rob the houses of the people who make those decisions to defund the police. Because once they get robbed, they may start to think, if only I had police. And it's like, well, you're flipping took all their money, you dickhead. So give them some money, they can protect you.
Yeah.
I used to be, you know what I mean? I used to be in a state of mind before, and I was so naive and young, where, you know, I used to see the police as the enemy. And that played a part with the media influence, you know, and the injustice in America. However, here in the UK, it ain't actually as bad as America, right? So I had to mature on that side. It took me a while. And then I was of an understanding that actually they exist because they're trying to do the right thing. Now, the outcome isn't always the best. Like, you can do the right thing and not get the desired outcome. You could also do the wrong thing and then get a completely different outcome. So let's get that right. However, there may be some people listening in now and they're thinking, what's all this love for the police? The police are X, Y, Z, Z, Z. All right, cool. When your house gets robbed, don't call them. You just deal with it, yeah? Do you know what I mean? When you're in a position of need, don't come screaming, oh, the police didn't have my back, if you're not supporting them. So just, you know what I mean? I just want to make that clear.
Also, I think people have to remember that there's bad and there's good in everything. In every single job role there's bad people who are bad at it, and there are people who are good at it. And it's the same with the government. You get corrupt people, you get people who genuinely go into politics wanting to do good. You get people in the police who want to protect and serve, and you get people who go into the police and they're bullies, and they use that uniform and they use that job to do the wrong thing. And we're aware of that because we've all seen a lot of that, especially in America. So, you know, I think where people can say, oh, the police, they're this, they're that. Well, you get good and you get bad in everything. So we can't just say that the police are 100% bad. They're not. And I know we're not saying that. I'm just saying people who have that opinion, negative opinion of the police, because they may have had a negative experience. They may have got the bad person, you know, but we just have to kind of, you know, be objective about it and remember that there's good people and bad people in every role. You know, you go into a supermarket, you could get somebody who's really helpful, will go out of their way to find what you can't find on the shelf. But you could go into a supermarket and you ask somebody, I don't know, that's all we've got. Don't know.
Right. So are we just gonna? I need to cap this. Shall we just say in a nutshell? Then you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution.
I agree to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and that's that then. Right. So.
And I love the police.
Okay. Right.
Right. About the police getting you the help, I do agree with that. Like, having been through victim support myself, they are very proactive in like, obviously that's victims, but then, you know, victims can also in turn.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just have to take a look at self. Look at yourself. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. If you're a good cop or a bad cop, if you're a law-abiding citizen or whatever, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. All right, cool. Mads, thank you for bringing that into the awareness of everyone watching the show and us as hosts as well. You know, it's definitely worth exploring. It's a big deal, especially in the UK. Right, so next question or next topic of discussion, completely away from what we just spoke about. Communicate. I was on the phone to my sister and she mentioned this to me and I said, all right, let's do it. She goes, communication between generations, why is it so difficult?
This is good.
I think a big part of it is closed-mindedness, or scared. A lot of older people are scared. When I was working at Vodafone,
okay,
because I don't now because I got sacked. But when I was working there, a lot of older people were coming in with like really old phones, mostly Nokias, but were scared to get a smartphone. And they go, oh, I only use it. Like, most of them had it turned off. So they go, oh, my phone ain't working. My phone ain't working. They give you the phone, it's turned off. It's like, we need to turn the phone on. It has to be on to be used.
Okay, so quickly, right? It isn't communication that's the problem. They just don't know how to operate the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think as well, like when you talk about like millennials and things like that, like when I was a kid, I didn't have a mobile phone. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have an iPad. I didn't have social media. It wasn't about then. I'm not that old, but you know, I'm still young. I'm just saying. And I have to say, you know,
really?
you have to learn. You have to learn. Don't laugh, Jules.
I wasn't laughing. I was laughing with you, not at you.
Okay. Yeah, and I just think, like, you know, we used to sit around the table eating our dinner, you know, with our grandparents, parents, aunties, uncles, cousins, and you do learn the art of communication. You have to learn to listen to your elders. I was told that a lot, you know, when I was younger. And, you know, I think in this day and age, put it this way, if I had a question, I had to ask somebody older than me. Now, youngsters Google stuff. They don't bother going to their parents. They'll Google something or they'll go on a forum or what have you. And so I think that plays technology plays a big part in this generation, this day and age generation of children. Definitely. I think it kind of actually hinders their communication.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask, is there a need for it? Because where you just highlighted that they no longer need to ask anyone the question, they can just turn to a search engine or a screen and get the answers. There's a saying that some guy said from America, Herbert something, and he said information consumes attention. So in a world of a wealth of information, it creates a poverty of attention. Therefore, let's say you highlighted millennials, they don't need to communicate. because anything they need to know, they'll get a much faster answer from a search engine, a place of information like the internet.
But the problem is with that, with like Google, if you Google something, there's so many wrong answers on there that because you're reading it on Google, you believe it. Whereas if I went to my dad, who is good at interpreting information, will be able to tell me what I need to know because he can filter the crap.
All I said was it creates a poverty of attention. So, for example, when you're used to getting what I would say as instant gratification, the answer is ping, there you go, straight to the point. Whereas when you're speaking to a person, it may take them about, 2 minutes to actually get to the point. And that's if they're really good at explaining things. They might, I've spoke to older generations where they take forever to get to the point. I'm bored. I'm not even a millennial. And I'm like that, for Christ's sake, just get to the point, will you?
But you're going to be like that one day, Jules.
I know.
You're going to be like that.
I know. And this is the point. So communication between generations, why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult? Do you find with older generations, I like older people. I actually find them really interesting. So
I love older people.
Yeah, like one of my hobbies is to go to my local Costa Coffee. I sit outside for an hour. I've got a few friends now. They're a lot older than I am, but I just sit and listen to what they have to say, and that's just because I feel like I could learn a lot from them. You
do learn a lot from them.
A lot. You learn a lot. So, but it's just like, with the millennials and stuff. Is it the communication isn't the problem? I'm not going to start pointing fingers and say they're the problem. That's not true. Is it my method that I've been raised with? Like, look people in the eye, ask them a direct question. Don't be afraid to not know something. Whereas millennials, they may be communicating just in a different method. So a text, or I say a text, that's old school, but just a message. WhatsApp.
I think
Messenger.
that youngsters of like today's generation, they do actually struggle more face to face.
Yeah, I agree.
Like a friend of mine, their son recently went for an interview and he literally had an anxiety attack before he went into the interview because he was worried about how his body language was going to be. He was worried about what questions they were going to ask him. And he actually said he'd prefer to do it via Zoom or, more virtual rather than in person, which, and it's because I think as well, it's probably because of the past year that we've had, and that's probably impacted on him. But it's also because he said, I don't really know how to be, I don't really know how to talk and how to sit. And I've heard that quite a few times, where the youngsters they've lacked confidence with regards to communicating, whether it's with regards to, work, job, educational, even socially, where they've going to meet up with their friends or going to a party or going to an event. It's like the build up to the fact that they're going to be face to face and it's not on a screen. The build up to it is overwhelming for them, really overwhelming, even for them to be able to even say, I don't want to come, I don't want to go, I'm going to cancel, because it's like they don't know how to really get that across. So yeah, I think whereas children from my generation, we were really confident. We used to shoot out the door, go to the park, we'd be out all day on our bikes, we'd meet up with other friends, other people we didn't even know from another estate or another part of town, and we'd all go in a big group and we'd go crabbing, whatever, we'd jumping on the rocks, doing whatever. And the thought of socializing for myself when in my younger years, I didn't find it as scary as I find that the millennials do this day and age.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, yeah, it's very weird. Like I had
there's a lot higher anxiety and mental health levels in the youngsters of today, and that is a fact. Like, and they actually relate that to the screen usage from a young age, being introduced.
Go on, Michael. What were you saying?
Social media.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you. Go on, Michael.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's very weird because I'm of the opposite. I'd rather face to face with someone than do it on Zoom. Like when I had my Vodafone interview, that was first time I'd ever used Zoom. And I was just like, I'd rather be sitting in front of them because I can convey who I am in front of someone.
Absolutely, absolutely. Energy, energy,
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, but I do agree that nowadays it's all screen time rather than...
I'll tell you what is a good skill, right? And this is why I don't like the dating apps. Very rare you'll see me on a dating app. If I'm on there, I'm just probably entertaining myself, right? Just to see, but because it's not real. Like they don't get to see my real charm, real charisma. Like I used to take pride in being able to go out on a night out and just charm the pants off a lady at the bar. I knew all the right things to say. I had mastered my craft as a communicator. Like I didn't even have to speak half the time. I knew how to stand. I knew how to be. Like I'm just, you know, now it's just second nature. This is who I am. I'm not even scared. I can go in front of anyone. I'm not even afraid. Like you give me a crowd of people. I'm not even scared. And that came
That's
with,
awesome.
But it came with time. Like it came with like building this confidence, building that. And that's the issue that I've got a problem with, because you're right. The more they spend time behind the screen, the less they're developing this skill set. And it isn't a skill set to try and pull girls all the time. This is a skill set for life. Like I can meet a stranger and I'm not even scared. I know exactly how to read a person when I see them. Do you get what I'm saying? Like actually understand, oh my God, I've seen that face before. That face or that way of posture means they could be feeling a little bit low vibration, or maybe don't even say hello. They're not in the state to speak. Do you get what I'm saying? And you can't teach that on a screen. So
no.
You know, it's very like that's probably why it's so difficult. Back to what it is, communication between generations. Why is it so difficult, Mads?
I was going to say, do you not think that's just your you know, your age, your personality, perhaps? Like I think that it's quite common for people to, it is more common, I think, now for people to suffer from social anxiety. Probably doesn't help what we, you know, with social media, and people are more worried about what other people think about them. But social anxiety has always been a problem.
Ah, so it's not a generational thing, because I was gonna ask this next. I'm glad you actually brought it in. So is it a generational thing, or is it just a thing?
No, I think social just anxiety and social anxiety has probably always been a problem. Like
I think we're just more aware of it now.
Yeah, like so many other mental health problems. PTSD has always been a problem, but soldiers after the First and the Second World War just couldn't address it or talk about it. It's just that we understand it more now. And I think that's all it is. Like when you were talking about the you know, the lad that didn't want to go for the interview, I can totally resonate. Like I'm gonna be 30, I'm not a millennial, I'm gonna be 30 this year. And when I was at university, I could not even do a presentation. I had to get extenuating circumstances to do a presentation on my own in front of the assessor, and even then I would absolutely shit myself. I couldn't.
Do you see that as a personality thing? It's nothing to do with time behind a screen.
I didn't go to university for about 6 months
because of
my room for months.
And you're not alone. I bet there's so many people out there that was doing the same thing, man. Like, because
now I don't care. I'm fine. I will talk to anyone on the street. I've traveled the world on my own, and I will talk to anyone anywhere as I've got older, because you just sort of, as you get older, I think you just, not everybody, some people unfortunately do still suffer, don't go out of it and do continue to suffer with anxiety and social anxiety. But I personally have been quite lucky to grow out of it. But yeah, I think that's just a personality thing.
You said grow out of it.
Well, I personally have grown out of the social anxiety. Yeah,
where did that come from? How did that happen though? Where did that come from?
Lots of cognitive behavioral therapy, lots of thought challenging, lots of just throwing yourself into the deep end and just doing it anyway. Traveling on my own.
Strength building.
I was going to say, let's reference this boy or this person that didn't want to do that job interview. Would it have been better for him just to be thrown in it? Don't care if you don't want to go, you're going.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And not given the opportunity to sit and ruminate over it either.
Yeah, because I think overthinking is a huge part as well with regards to making the overwhelming feeling of that anxious moment even worse.
Yeah, definitely.
It heightens it. And
Yeah,
I think that I've had to do a lot of things in my life where I've been thrown into situations I've not wanted to be in, or I've just had to deal with. And I think that I look back now as an older version of myself, younger self, and I am glad I went through all of those, because it's growth. And I'm now like Jules. I could go into a room, into a conference, I could get up on the stage and speak in front of people. I wouldn't take it personally. I wouldn't make it about me. I would just be like, yeah, we're in here, I'm doing this, let's go. You know,
like I speak to young lads, and confidence is a huge thing now for young lads. They lack in it because they're afraid, especially with the influence of social media. They feel like they're not achieving enough to go and approach a girl, because a girl has a high expectancy now because of the influence of social media. And I remember one time I was with a few lads that I train, and there was a girl that walked by, and I wasn't afraid to do it. I just went up to her and I said, hi, what's your name? And rare tear tear. And then when I came back, they was all sniggering and laughing. They said, oh, what happened? I said, she said no. And they were like, really? I said, yeah. She said no. And they were like, oh, Jules, oh no, you're not. And I was like, as if I'm like, who cares? The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people out there who wouldn't face that. They wouldn't be prepared to do that because they fear the no. And you shouldn't fear the no. If you are afraid of the no, you're not even going to try.
You won't do anything in your life. If we're afraid of rejection, or afraid, you're never going to do anything. And I think the screens.
By the way, she didn't really say no. I told him she said no, because I had to teach him that lesson. But,
yeah, of course. Yeah, we know. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Behave yourself. Right then. Right. Well, great episode, guys. I really, really do. Oh, quick one, Michael. Is there any comments? Anyone commented on?
Yeah. Someone said it's a confidence thing. You have to learn how to be confident in yourself and don't worry about it, which is very true. I was the same. Like when I was up to about 21 or something, I was really timid. But then I just got to a point that I was just like, I say to a point, again, bringing it down, I watched my dad pass away. So that really brought it home to me, like my superhero died. So I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? In 100 years' time, no one's going to remember my little bit of embarrassing moments. So just go for it.
Nice. Yeah.
There's also another comment. Says, at school a long time ago, I used to be in all the drama plays, and that gave me a massive boost in life and confidence. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is very relevant.
It's going to get yourself out there, definitely.
I love that. Right, guys. So yeah, keep commenting. Let us know what you think, and also message us if you want to. You can just send a message to our email, or you can just drop us a message on the chat, or find a link in our bios. They're all out there. Also, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So if you are just tuning in, do us a favor, head over to the YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and follow us on that. That'll do us massive favor, because as soon as we get 1,000 on, go on. As soon as we get 1,000 on YouTube, we can go live on there. Liz, go on.
And I was just going to say, whoever the 1,000th person is, I will personally send them a prize.
Hey. I thought we was all going to Canooden and walking around that witch hut. Where was it?
Yeah, we are. We'll do that as well. But we've got to make we've got to make a little challenge for the subscribers. So they want to, who's going to be the 1,000th.
I thought we said if we do 1,000 subscribers, we're all going to meet up, go to Canooden with a full moon at night time, and do the witch curse thing.
Just live. A torch. Yeah.
God,
yeah, I'm up for that.
That was your idea. We're doing it.
Oh, why did I say that? And if you want to know why we said that, it's because we did an episode on do you believe in ghosts and extraterrestrials and stuff like that.
That'll be quite funny. That'll be like the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, check that out on the YouTube as well. Watch all the previous videos. So, right, guys, is there anything else you want to say on tonight's episode? Any last few words?
No.
I would just like to say, with regards to communication,
go on.
I always say to my friends and family, and even strangers that I've met over the years, it's better out than in. So if you're feeling something and you want to talk, or you want to get something out, or even if you struggle with communicating, just get it out. Even just to say you struggle with communicating, it's better out than in. You'll feel better for it, and you move forward in your communication levels.
Love that. I love that.
So true.
It is. Happy days. All right. Well, guys, again, if you have anything to say, put in a comment, drop us a message. We'd love that. And if you also have anything you want us to talk about on the next episode, then definitely let us know, because we will. So from me and all the other hosts, Elite Fleeting Club, everyone everywhere, peace and love.
Peace and love.
Oh, how do I